Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast that brings you in-depth analysis and unbiased reporting on current events from around the world. We're starting off with a complex and multifaceted story out of Sudan, where the conflict between the Sudanese Armed Forces, or SAF, and the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, has been ongoing since 2023. The situation on the ground is fluid, with both sides experiencing victories and setbacks. Recently, there have been reports of defections from the RSF to the SAF, which could potentially shift the balance of power in the conflict. However, as we delve deeper into the story, it becomes clear that the situation is far more nuanced than a simple victory or defeat for either side. The SAF's reliance on volunteer recruits, Islamist militias, and forces from the Juba peace agreement has created a complex web of alliances and interests that will need to be navigated in any potential peace settlement. Furthermore, the legacy of the Janjaweed militias and the RSF's use of cross-border supply routes raises questions about the long-term stability of the region. Even if the RSF is eventually broken, its weapons and fighters will not simply disappear, but rather will likely be absorbed into other groups or used by political entrepreneurs to further their own interests. As we consider the path forward for Sudan, it's essential to approach the situation with a nuanced understanding of the historical and cultural context. The country struggles with projecting power across its peripheries, particularly in Darfur, are long-standing and will not be easily resolved. The SAF's chief, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has announced a national dialogue, which could potentially provide a framework for addressing some of these issues. However, the exclusion of RSF leaders from any potential peace settlement raises concerns about the possibility of a comprehensive resolution to the conflict. As we continue to follow this story, we'll be keeping a close eye on developments on the ground and analyzing the implications for the region and the world at large. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're continuing our global news roundup, bringing you the latest developments from around the world. First, let's turn our attention to Sudan, where the United States is proposing an expansion of the UN arms embargo to cover the entire country. This move comes as the conflict in Darfur risks expanding regionally. The current embargo, in place for over 2 decades, is set to expire on September 12, 2026. The U.S. proposal aims to prevent the spread of violence and instability, but it faces potential opposition from veto-holding Russia, which has warned against new measures that could impact the Sudanese army. In another part of Africa, Ethiopia's Tigray region is experiencing a different kind of challenge. Maulid festivities have been cancelled due to fears of drone strikes, highlighting the ongoing tensions and security concerns in the area. This development underscores the complex nature of conflicts in the region and the need for diplomatic efforts to resolve these issues peacefully. Meanwhile, in space exploration, French astronaut Sophie Adenaude has embarked on her second spacewalk at the International Space Station. Alongside NASA astronaut Anil Menon, she is working on a critical mission to restore high-speed communications with mission control by installing a spare antenna. This achievement showcases international cooperation in advancing our understanding of space and pushing the boundaries of human exploration. Closer to home, the situation in Syria continues to evolve, with the Kurdish-led SDF dissolving as part of its integration with Damascus. This significant development marks a new chapter in the complex history of the region, with implications for local governance, security, and international relations. Lastly, we're keeping an eye on the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Afghanistan, where 1 million children are suffering from life-threatening malnutrition. This dire situation calls for immediate attention and collective action from the global community to provide necessary aid and support. As we navigate these complex stories, it's essential to approach each topic with fairness, balance, and a commitment to understanding the multifaceted nature of global events. At Barbara's Bulletin, we strive to bring you comprehensive coverage, free from bias, ensuring that our listeners are well informed about the world around them. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a closer look at the complex situation unfolding in Syria. The country has been at the center of a strategic rivalry between Israel and Turkey, with both nations vying for influence in the region. Recently, the commander of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces announced the official dissolution of the group, marking a significant shift in the balance of power. Syria's new leader, President Ahmad al-Sharaa, has been seeking foreign policy support from various countries, including Turkey. However, Israel views Turkey's growing influence with skepticism and sees it as a threat to its own security. The U.S., on the other hand, has been easing sanctions on Syria and has removed the country from its list of state sponsors of terrorism. As we analyze this situation, it's essential to consider the various perspectives at play. On one hand, Turkey's interest in a stable Syria is driven by its desire to secure its southern border and expand its regional influence. On the other hand, Israel's concerns about Turkish intentions are rooted in its own security thinking and the need to protect its interests. Ultimately, the future of Syria's security order will depend on the negotiating skills of President al-Sharaa and his ability to chart a distinct Syrian path amidst the competing interests of its neighbors. As political scientist AIDailyPress notes, Syria's foreign policy success has been significant, but it cannot, on its own, secure stability. The country must develop a viable political order to address its internal vulnerabilities and ensure long-term stability. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.